Alright, so today we're doing something a little bit different. Now, it's the day after my last dance competition, but I'm already preparing for my next one because it's already in a week. And this is a tournament that takes all weekend, and the theme for it is Under the Sea. Now, it happens to be the case that a couple of months ago we had a gala with the same theme, and I made this outfit for it. It's a jellyfish jumpsuit. Now, at the time it was my first time making a jumpsuit, and I wasn't quite sure what I was doing, and I made a couple of mistakes, which resulted in me not being completely happy with how it turned out. So I decided this is the perfect time to redo it. Now, as you can see, held by this lovely polar bear temporarily, we have a cape, and actually the cape is the one part that I'm gonna leave as is. I like it a lot, it's good. So I'm just gonna take that off so I can show you the rest of the jumpsuit. Okay, so here we have the rest of the jumpsuit. Now I'm gonna just run through all the things that I'm not quite happy with, or that I am happy with. So first of all, these sleeves. They're not really attached to the arms, they're just kind of free-floating sleeves. And actually these I'm gonna keep. I'm just gonna cut them off and attach them to the new thing. Next we have the body. I tried doing pleating for the very first time. It did not go very well. So I'm gonna change that, and I'm not quite sure yet how I want the body to look, but I might keep the same overall design, but I'm not gonna try pleating again for right now. And then we have the pants area, and that's where kind of the main things are that I'm not quite happy with. Now I wanted to have an open front in the pants so you could see your legs through it, kind of like a slit in a dress. However, I cut that out kind of wrong. I cut out actually a portion of the fabric instead of just cutting a slit, and that resulted in it just being very open, which was way more than I wanted it to be. Also, the pants area was at the time a little bit too small for me. I'm not actually sure how it fits right now, but I'm just gonna redo it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. As you can see, I do have a wig that fits with it very well, and I will be wearing that again. But other than that, I think the design needs some updates. Alright, so for the fabric for this jumpsuit, I used to have this purple fabric for it. This is just kind of a little piece that I had left over, but it's not really enough to do anything else with. So I went to the fabric market and got some other purple fabric because I couldn't find this one anymore. So the new purple fabric I got is this one. It's a little bit brighter, but I don't mind that, and it's a little bit stretchy, which can be kind of convenient if I'm gonna make a jumpsuit out of it, just to make the fit a little easier. Now, the blue fabric that I used, I could find more of at the fabric store, which was good, and it's this. I have 3 extra meters of each of these because they were quite cheap, and I didn't really want to run short, so I have plenty for now, especially given the fact that I'm not 100% sure yet what I want with the final design yet. For now, I'm just thinking I don't quite want to do a jumpsuit anymore. I want to do a separate pants with a top combination, so it's a little easier to get on and off as well, and just to go to the bathroom, things like that. I don't really want to bother with wearing a jumpsuit all evening right now, I guess. So first of all, I'm gonna make the pants from this fabric. Now, as you could see from the first design, I had the purple fabric underneath the blue fabric for the pants, and it was kind of layered like that. I do want a similar effect again, but I'm not exactly sure how I want to accomplish that yet. But I think it's a pretty safe bet to just start with making pants from this and then take it from there. So I'm gonna get started on that. Now, if you've watched more of my videos, you'll know that this is the pants pattern that I've used a couple of times already for my flare pants and my previous jumpsuits. It's still pretty good, so I'm using it for this one as well. However, it is kind of different than what I want for this pants. So I'm gonna need to alter it a little. Because I want the slit in the front, I want to cut the front pattern in half and attach one half to the back panel. The other half will be separate and will be sewn onto the back panel as normal pants. Now I don't actually need to be cutting the pattern in half, so I'll just be folding it over so that I can reuse this pattern piece if I want. Furthermore, I am not gonna make these into flare pants like the jumpsuit was, and the flare pants obviously were as well. Instead, I want them to be quite wide-legged, so I'll just be cutting straight down from the thigh area to the bottom of the pants. Lastly, because the pattern in the past was a little too short, and I don't want to run the risk of having it too short again, but I'm not quite sure how long it needed to be, I'll just cut it down to the edge of the fabric, giving it an extra 25 or so centimeters, so that should be plenty. This fabric is slightly textured. It has lines running over the width of the fabric. Because I want these lines to be on the length of the pants, I'm cutting the pieces out horizontally. Also, I'm not sure if you noticed, but my scissors are getting really dull. I really should get a new pair of them. But I guess we have to deal with these now. In the end, I cut out 2 front pieces, 2 back pieces, and 2 pieces for the waistband. The main reason I cut out 2 pieces for the waistband is because I had the fabric left over and I had it folded double anyway, and I figured I could use the extra length to tie it into a nice bow. After cutting out all the pieces, it was time to put the pants together. This was a little easier than usual because I didn't put any pockets in these. So it really was just a matter of connecting the 4 pieces together and attaching the waistband after. Okay, now these pants are roughly finished. The only thing that I should be doing is hemming the lower edge that goes all the way up into the slit. However, I've decided not to do that, and I've got a couple of reasons for that. Reason number 1 is this fabric is absolute hell to sew. I don't know exactly what's going on with it, but it just keeps dropping stitches like crazy. So I did most of the seams twice just to make sure they're actually firm enough to wear this piece of clothing. Second of all, this fabric doesn't fray that much. The edges stay quite clean. Now, the camera has a little bit of trouble picking this up. There we go. Okay, so see, it's quite clean. I trimmed off all the edges to clean it up a little, but other than that, I think it's good as is. And the last advantage that this has is that if I would be hemming it, because of the slits, it falls open a little bit, so you would actually see the edges on the inside as well. So this would actually give a cleaner finish than hemming it. So it saves me a bit of work too, because I'm a little short on time. Once the pants were done, it's time to move on to the top. For the design of the top, I wanted to keep the V neckline that I had previously. I want the shirt to close at a center point in the front. And from there I want it to flow outwards a bit, so the back of the shirt will be a bit longer than the front. This will cause the shirt in the front to potentially be very short, so I want to add some ruffles to both give it a flowy effect and also just cover things up a bit more. I want the shirt to have a lining because this fabric frays a lot, so I'll be cutting 4 identical front pieces and 4 identical back pieces, so I will have 2 symmetrical sides, both an inside and an outside layer. This fabric luckily isn't very thick, so I can cut all 4 layers at once, which saves me a bunch of time and effort. After cutting out all these pieces, I sewed together the 4 lining pieces and the 4 outside pieces, but I kept the 2 halves separate for now.
I also cut out 2 strips of fabric that I'll be using to close the front of the shirt with a bow. The ends of these strips I'll cut into a point.
Alright, so here's the shirt so far. I actually think it looks quite good. This overlaps a little bit, it doesn't have to overlap too much because I'm gonna have these little threads here to tie it up. The back is a little longer, has like the deep V-neck, which I like, and it's a bit longer, so that's just part of the kind of the flowy design. I'm gonna add the ruffles later, but for now I just think this fits slightly awkward in a very similar way to the Halloween shirt that I made a couple weeks ago. And so I'll be making very similar darts to that one in this as well. I have 2 of these pieces. I have the lining and the shirt piece, so after that I will be attaching both of them together. Alright, so I do actually prefer to film these videos during the daytime, but while I was working on this I kind of got distracted by a couple other things, so it is dark by now. It's also getting dark a lot sooner these days because, you know, winter time and stuff like that. And also this is the final evening I have to finish this costume, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it. I hope it's not too bothersome for the video, but we're just gonna continue in the evening for now. Okay, so the one part about this jumpsuit that I was happy with in the first place were these sleeves. They're kind of just free floating pieces of fabric, and I was actually quite happy with them, with the length and everything. So I will actually just be cutting these off and attaching them to the new shirt. Alright, here we are. These are the sleeves. Literally just pieces of fabric.
To cut out the ruffle for the bottom of the shirt, I first measured the entire bottom line of the shirt and used this as a circumference for a circle. By cutting the ruffle in a circle shape, I'll make sure that the bottom of it is quite a lot wider than the top of it, so it stands out a bit more, kind of like a circle skirt. I'll cut the circle a bit uneven because I want the front of the ruffle to be shorter than the back, just like the rest of the shirt. I actually ended up having enough fabric to make 2 of these ruffles, so I'll be layering those and cutting one of them a bit shorter so they don't overlap completely and it gets a little bit more layered that way.
So one thing that I've learned the last time that I made this is that this particular fabric is actually very annoying to seam, and I was kind of running out of time at that point as well. However, it's polyester, so if you hold this next to a candle, it actually just, the edge, it cleans up quite nicely. Let me see, can I get it in frame? Yes. And actually it doesn't just make a clean non-fraying edge, it also gives it kind of this wavy look. I don't know if it really reads that well on screen, but you see it's kind of wavy. So that's actually perfect for a jellyfish. So I'm gonna use that to finish the bottom of the ruffles, and actually probably most of the edges. So also the ribbons that I want to use to tie in the front, I'm also gonna use the same trick over there. But for now, let's just do the ruffles. Okay, so just have a small candle here and some matches, and that should be good. There we go. And then I have the strip of fabric for the ruffle. And then all I'm doing is just holding it next to it until it burns off a little bit, just singes off the loose little hairs, and that's all.
Now all the separate pieces of the shirt are complete and it's time to put it all together. I will be sewing the outside and the inside lining of the shirts together inside out so that I can add the different aspects of it at the same time. For this, I'll layer both the ribbons and the ruffles in between the lining and the outside fabric and then sew it together. In the end, I'll have to get all of it inside out and just sew the last little bit. That way I'll get the cleanest edges in the end.
Okay, so the shirt is done. I'm quite happy with how it turns out. I am not trying it on right now with the pants because I already packed those. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. Now, I do still have a bunch of hours to fill in a bust. So for that, I'll be bringing some beads and some hand sewing equipment to just kind of add a little bit more detail to it. But other than that, I'll show you when I put the whole thing together, so with the wig and the pants and all of it. Here we go!
After all, I'm very happy with how it turned out. I think it is very jellyfish with the ruffles on the shirt mostly. And I think it looks good with or without the cape, which is very convenient. The shirt did turn out a little too big, so I ended up pinning it to my bra during the dancing to keep it in place, but that just worked perfectly, so it was all fine. I hope you enjoyed watching me recreate this costume. Have a very nice day, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!